The internet, at least Twitter, hates this. But you shouldn't hate this. This is happening whether you like it or not. But this is amazing. And I don't know why there's so much pushback on this from folks. But this is a 4-minute video. I'm going to play you the whole thing because it's interesting from top to bottom. Let's watch this together as pals do, and then let's talk about it on the flip side. Here we go.
Let me show you a concept video that stitches together some of our more exciting experiments in service of imagination to creation. Let's take a look.
Hey, what if we made a game out of cardboard boxes?
Yeah, let's do it.
Make a maze of cardboard boxes. What do you think?
Not bad. But maybe a little too simple. Make it more complex. How's that?
What if we make it multi-level? Whoa, let's give that one a go.
That's cool. All right, who are we gonna play as? Make 2 characters with weapons. I want...
Okay, let's see. Here we go.
I like this one. Not
Now
that
my
one.
weapon of
How
choice.
about- Ooh. Not bad, not bad.
Okay, that's cool, but how do we fight? Show me 1v1 combat options.
It should be a death match.
Right?
Here I come.
You gotta find me first.
Wait, what if we made it so we could only die from a grenade?
Oh, now I'm definitely going to win. Add a rule that you can only die by grenade.
I'm almost there.
I've got something for you. Almost got you.
Nice try.
Dead end. I think this world needs to be bigger. Make it more epic. Wow. Are you seeing this?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What you saw was an illustration of 2 friends jumping into an open sandbox and then creating a new world made of boxes in real time without any coding expertise and in a matter of seconds. They then quickly shifted to remixing existing elements from their favorite EA games, asset libraries, databases, and communities, elements like characters, weapons, gameplay systems, and logic. Even here, the incredible thing is they were able to do this instantaneously using nothing more than natural language. This remixing of foundational elements would not be possible without EA's massive proprietary dataset, which includes hundreds of thousands of high-quality 3D assets, millions of lines of code, billions of gameplay hours, and trillions of telemetry events. This is all invaluable data as we think about the training of our own custom creation models. And our data set grows by the minute as we're a digital life services company with millions of daily touch points with our communities. Now, going back to the video, once the players you saw, they were happy with their initial creations, they started to play. And they were able to rapidly iterate on the fun as they went along. Ultimately, by the end, they created a social game experience. One that started with our AAA content as a foundation, but that quickly took on a life of its own, beyond something we built. Over time, you can imagine these same players and others like them continuing to build in, around, and beyond EA's foundations. Maybe even creating experiences that become the basis of entirely new chart-topping IPs.
What he showed was or is a proof of concept. It is not that yet. There's elements of it working. Like I said, you can go in today to ChatGPT and say, let's make an asteroids game. Let's make a Pac-Man game. And you can pretty much do this, but it's a simple game. But Roblox has been playing with this. A lot of people are messing around with this. EA is not the only one. Where EA gets a bit of an upper hand is that, like they said, they have all of this data and all of these assets from decades of content that when you say, make me a level with cardboard boxes, you don't have to then go into a video or an image generator that makes 3D models and make the cardboard box. It's just like, here you go. Here's what we used, 8 years ago in Battlefield or whatever, right? And so these characters and these weapons and stuff, this is more of, like Toxmod says, EA Roblox, where this in and of itself, this is, user-generated content games when they're this easy to do. All you need to really do, and maybe there will be one that really connects with core gamers sooner than later. I hope so, because there is something pure and fun about just going online and seeing a buffet of games that really don't have the marketing and don't have the sex appeal, but it's like, holy shit, that's cool. You know, me and the Gabbin and Games community were playing a game of Halo, a user-generated game on Halo, and all it was, I mean, it was batshit, but it was delightful. It was like whack-a-mole, and there was like 20 little human-sized silos in the ground. Everybody only had sniper rifles, and all you could do was pop up and rotate. And it was so fun playing that little game. And so I do think this is going to help actual developers prototype, and it's going to help, or it's going to create this kind of YouTube of gaming, which I think is fucking awesome. We already see it in Roblox, but my God, even the stuff I was showing you earlier from Unity, this stuff, which is kind of as simple as I've ever seen it, even this stuff is way more complicated than what we just saw EA doing. You're just talking about it. Yeah, it's like PC mods without the hassle. So here's my question to you guys. What I don't understand is, why do you think, because obviously I'm excited about shit like this, but why do you think this is generating such disdain on, like when Keeley tweeted about it? Good sir Arathizel, can you shed some light, Arathizel, on why is it people, or perhaps even you, find this problematic?
Soulless.
What does that mean? Soulless.
It's generated by code and already existing assets and already existing elements, and they're soul. And when you put them all together, they're soulless. An endless derivative reduces to zero. It's completely soulless. And you'll see, I encourage you, go ahead and make a game in this tool, and you see, point me to one that's not soulless.
Define, so we know what you're talking about. Define a game that has soul, that doesn't come from the story or narrative, but comes from the game itself, because that's what they're showing.
Yeah,
but yeah,
music, it's the art, it's the characters, it's the gameplay, it's
well,
all
wait,
of it combined.
okay, but wait a minute though. What you're looking at here though is just the gameplay, right? So in that, because they're prototyping gameplay,
Mm-hmm.
so in that,
they're not prototyping gameplay though. They can only, they're restricted by what the tool can give them, which is derivative of stuff that's already in the tool.
Okay, but what I'm
restricted.
Every game I've ever worked on professionally, I was restricted. I was restricted by budget. I was restricted by politics. I was restricted by what the artist did and didn't want to draw.
Why? Why were you restricted?
Well, because Sony only wanted to spend X million on this idea versus that idea.
Go to someone besides Sony.
Okay, or Sony wanted to do it, but the artist wanted to draw this instead of that. So instead of that,
that's where the soul comes in, because you had to work with, and I've seen you post videos on this, and I think it's awesome that you thank your teams.
Sure.
And that's where the soul came from, is the collaborative effort of human beings together to create something. And that's where the soul is injected.
But don't you think that's just a romantic way of looking at things that clearly nobody really...
Not. No.
I mean...
No, I've lived on this earth long enough to know that I would never fall in love with a machine, ever.
Well, no one's asking you to fall in love with a machine.
Well, this is what I'm talking about with the soul, is I don't want a machine to replace the elements of soul that I get from other human beings. I don't want a machine to replace human beings. And part of games are human elements. They're things like, I can relate to this because I'm playing with someone else, or I can relate to this because me and my friends played it, and so we talk about it. I want to give an example of a video that I watched this morning.
Yeah, give it to me.
Sorry.
No, give it to me.
I watched a video of a story that was written by AI and narrated by AI.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so soulless in the fact that it was just, you could tell. Like,
okay,
how can you not?
But you knew that it was by AI, and you also know that
I didn't know.
Okay,
it was a test. Can you tell whether these things are AI or not?
Okay, so so my answer to you would be that if it turns out that the games feel that way, then yeah, of course, right? But like, look at this. Now, I was very pleased and excited to learn that this game, which is one of my favorite arcade games, which is Time Pilot, was made by and programmed by the exact same person who made another one of my, I spelled it wrong, another one of my favorite arcade games, which is Gyrus, right? And one of the things I love about both games is how the vehicles control in these games, right? And my guess is whatever it is about the coder who created the physics, I get a sense of his essence in that, right? And so on one hand, I can romanticize that, right? But what is the difference between that and me going into Chat GPT or the EA thing and going, okay, like when I was sitting and tuning Twisted Metal with Mike Badger, the programmer, and we were trying to figure out the best feel for the cars. And I was like, all right, let's try 0.5. No, let's try 0.7, but then up the acceleration. Well, you could argue that that's soulful, but what's different than me sitting with Mike Badger or me sitting with a microphone telling the computer, all right, try that, but now I want to try it with a bit more drift. Remember in Burnout, how you drifted? Take that, but reduce it 50%. How is that any different from what I did with Mike Badger? Just because he was a living, breathing human?
I think it's the discussion, the decision making, but also you're talking about sliders.
I'm talking about what? Well, that's all this is sliders.
I don't think that like when you sit down to make a game engine or do a design document, you're not talking about sliders.
You're talking, yeah, but you're not designing in a vacuum. You're talking about either engine or what the studio's good at. So I'm going to design with that in mind. Okay, this studio is really good at third-person character-based action games that have levels of about this size. Go. Might as well be sliders. It's me going, take your creativity and conform it to this limited pin. That's the job of being paid to create entertainment, right?
Yeah, I think that you have to limit yourself because obviously you can't release anything if you don't.
Okay.
But you have no limitations when you start.
Okay.
You're not relying on the machine with inputs and outputs. You could go anywhere you want when you start.
So do you think the kids today that are playing a lot of the Roblox games, for example, okay, do you think what they are playing is less nurturing for them as game players if they are indeed playing Roblox or things like that than what you played coming up with?
No.
Why?
I think that when you're a kid, you inject your own creativity into things.
Okay.
I think that kids can be malleable in anything, and then they can like when I was a kid, played.
Wait, say it again. When you were a kid, you did what?
I used to play in the dirt.
Okay. Well, I can tell.
Yeah.
Not much has changed. Keep going.
And I had a great time.
Okay.
My kids have a great time. My kids play Roblox and they have a great time. And again, to me, that's no different than playing in the dirt.
Okay. So my question
They
then,
don't think about gameplay mechanics. Adults think about gameplay mechanics.
but what I'm doing right now though is soulless, correct? Like if I wanted to make a game and I used these pieces and I made it, you would say, well, okay, but it's pretty stupid and soulless.
Okay. So what you just did is a lot different than what you showed from EA.
No, it's not. The only difference is I did it with the mouse instead of saying put a block there, and spawn me a character. Why does it matter? What does it matter?
All they did was say make it more epic, and then they push enter, and then all the decisions were made by the machine.
Yeah, but in that case, that's just a level of how hard they personally want to work. Okay, but if I was doing it and I said make it more epic, and then they created what they showed, right? And then I would say, okay, I like what you're doing with the verticality, but I need something that feels more maze-like, but not too hard of a maze. Like as long as I'm communicating, doesn't it become soulful by the very nature of communicating?
No.
All right. Well,
no, it doesn't, because when you say make it more epic and then it doesn't give you what you want, and then you say give it more levels and it doesn't give you what you want, it can only give you the derivative of what the inputs to the machine are.
Sure.
So you don't have the granularity when you're giving it plain text, and you never will.
Well,
when you're giving it plain text to give you exactly what you want, what you saw creatively.
But you're always up against, you don't have enough colors. You don't have enough money for your movie. You don't have,
I agree with that part.
That's always limits, but an artist creates with the tools they have. And in pushing up against those limits, but still finding a way to express themselves, one could argue that that's more soulful.
I think when you limit it too much and the machine is making most of the decisions, you lose the soul.
Okay.
I,
All
I
right.
think I think the granularity matters.
Isn't that even a question of how hard the person wants to try? Like if you were taking a creative writing class.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay,
It's how
but
hard someone
okay,
tries. Exactly.
right. But if you were taking a creative writing class and you went home for your assignment and pretty much just copied an Edgar Allan Poe story, but you made it in modern times.
Yep.
And I went home and I was like, let me invent brand new characters, brand new scenarios, blah, blah, blah. We're still using pen and paper to write a story. It's just how much you want to put into it. Why does that not apply to something like this?
It absolutely does. What you just said is exactly what my point is.
Okay, so you're
the
not
person who
bitching
just
about,
copies
you're not,
something
okay, but
is
you're not
not
bitching
being
about the
creative.
tool that EA was showing then. You were bitching more about the scenario where the guy just says, make it more epic.
Right.
Well, okay, sure, but that's, I mean, that I may be able to make a better game than them because while I might start with make it more epic, I might have 1,000 other commands after it because I want to whittle it down to what I see in my head. So
I'm okay with the
itself
tool,
is
by
the
the way.
problem.
If it's a starting point, I'm okay with it. But
Okay.
I still want the tool to be granular enough. And I don't think you'll see anybody making anything with just the tool at that base level you showed that will be anything good. I think it has to have some granularity to it that will push it beyond whatever the tool is inputted to output.
Answer this question real quick. I'll let you go. This is from Mutant Mo. Tell me if you agree with this. He says, these people who are upset are pissed that you're taking away their ability to gatekeep, and they yell skill and merit. And I'll add, they also yell, it's not art or it's soulless. Do you think there's some truth to that?
No, absolutely not. I think anything that's worth something takes effort. I think when you remove the effort, no matter what tool is removing the effort, it hurts it.
Do you think people who make the Roblox games that are really connecting with a big audience don't put effort into it?
I could tell.
Yeah,
I can tell the games that are made in the Roblox engine that had effort versus the ones that didn't. I can absolutely tell.
Well, can your kids tell, or do they play?
Yes, they can tell. They play the modes that are popular, and the popularity of these modes, like the tower defense one in Roblox, for example, rose to the top because that creator put a ton of effort into it.
Cool. So it sounds like, we actually agree on this, which is you're only as good as how you use the tools you're given and how much effort you put into it. But the tools themselves are fine. In fact, the tools themselves
as a starting point, what you showed from EA is totally fine. Like, make me a maze, and then that's a starting point. Maybe it sparks something, but I think the granularity of the effort involved needs to go beyond that.
But if I say make me a maze and I'm walking through it, and then I say, okay, at this corner, and I tell the AI, let's walk through it together. Okay, stop. At this corner, I want to create a staircase going up, and I also want to have a lever behind the staircase that if you think to look behind the staircase, you find the lever, and if you pull it, it spawns a key, right? And it goes, okay, that's the work, right? I mean, that's a good thing.
If the tool can do that, yeah.
The tool can totally do that. This is like beginner baby shit. I'm telling you, I've already played with it on ChatGPT at 2D. It can do it. It'll do what you want. It's just a matter of, continuing to understand and parse the language better. But all right, Arathizzle, good to talk to you, buddy. I'll talk to you later, man.
Later.